We went looking for stories of belonging and religious healing and spiritual growth that have happened in and through Commons. So it's especially beautiful to sit at this juncture of a 10-year anniversary and to really think about the stories that have flowed through this place. So we invited the 5 of you into a conversation to share a little bit of your story.
I didn't really know a lot about Commons when we first came, but I do remember the first day we came. We just showed up on Sunday, my wife and I, and it's not that I can recall exactly like the songs that were sung, or forgive me, but like you were speaking that day, but I don't exactly remember the message, but I do remember the atmosphere and I remember the vibes, and it left a really strong impression on me that very first day I was here. It was that it's sort of like it was saying, come as you are. And I felt that deeply. And that to me, because we were looking for a place to call home, and that immediately just like drew us in right from the start, from that very first day. I think at first I was looking just for answers, and I just wanted to like be told, what to believe and everything. But I felt like coming here, I was more so invited to kind of hold things in tension, and not necessarily just feel the need to, I got to arrive at a formulation of my faith or what being a Christian means exactly, but more of an invitation into explore that continually through life in community. So it's not that I feel like I've arrived at, too many final answers, I think, but just that feeling like it's okay to, hold these questions and keep seeking, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'd say for me, what drew me in and why I stay are kind of tied. And I didn't really realize until looking back. So I've been going to Commons for almost 8 years. It's wild. I've always described Commons as literally, this might sound strange, but going for coffee with a friend. I continue to stay because I'm reminded of that friend, and that friend that actually doesn't mind how long I go away or doesn't have this list of things that I need to be. I'm fully accepted. And I tell people about it all the time. It's like going for coffee with a friend. You leave filled. You stay because you're inspired. You can't wait to see them again. You don't feel depleted. Sometimes you leave with questions, but they're good questions, right? They're questions that you're supposed to think about so you can catch up next time. There's that to it. And it also, my favorite would be, it's that friend that just holds space sometimes for me. I don't have to say much. I could just be like, hi, cool. There. And the space is there for me. So, yeah.
For me, definitely something that's been a process, I want to call it that, for me, was changing my view of myself and who I thought I had to be at church. And I think the sentence that sometimes tries to sneak back in is like, I'm not worthy, because that was a lot of how I was raised. Coming from Brazil, and there's a lot of, it's a very strong patriarchal society, and sexist and homophobic, and Commons has been tremendous in allowing me to breathe, allowing me to just feel like that weight has been lifted, and feeling like there's such a place of grace, such a place to just be and to grow and to explore my faith, but also to know, not even just to think, but to know wholeheartedly that I belong. And it's been beautiful. It's been beautiful. Like just the feeling of release and relief. It's been awesome. Yeah.
I would say, I can relate. I think we can all relate to each other. My personal journey was, coming to Commons. I think I was in a lot of turmoil internally with what was going on in the world. And it was so refreshing to come to a place where they spoke plainly about our struggles, what's hard in life, our doubts. And even, I would say, Bobby revels in the questions, the hard stuff, which was so refreshing to see. And so I've come to accept the difficulties, the questions. Another was me being a father of girls. I wanted to see women up here preaching the gospel.
That's one of those moments I cannot help it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's important to me, even though maybe my girls don't understand the significance of that yet. That's something. The reason we stay is we are finding community here. I think it's been hard, and we're in a difficult stage. Having little kids, it's not conducive to community all the time, but we're finding that, and it's been great.
It's incredible to hear a different generation express what a place of worship can offer to your lives, to your pain. That's like to me that. Well, it's inspirational beyond means. And why didn't we bring Kleenex? Because I will try eventually. Maybe not right this moment, but it's coming. I'm from an earlier generation, so I've had to tackle some of these issues for longer because it wasn't okay to talk about it. It wasn't okay to have questions, and it wasn't okay to just feel like, well, maybe there isn't a one side or the other side, and there is something in the middle. And as my faith went through some very significant trials, some very significant challenges, I came to think that, well, if this is the black and white thinking, then there's no way God loves me. And there's no way that I will ever measure up because this doesn't align. It doesn't match. And one of the solid things that has come as a result of being in this type of teaching, in this type of community, is that unquestionably God loves me. And that has been something that has transformed everything else that I have to deal with in this life. And I don't know what I would do without this place. I really don't. Like I just am so thankful that there was an opportunity to hear it in a way that I could listen and then accept that, yeah, there's love here for you.
The language thing is huge. I noticed it immediately when I started listening and attending. Like, it looks like church, the format is like church, but the language is so deliberate. Yeah. The staff, the team are so selective and how they present things, and that shows in just the basic kind of, one of the first things that stood out to me was, we love the Bible, but we worship Jesus. And I was like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
I think it's one of the core values of Commons, but being kind of centered by Jesus. Thinking about how, what that means, kind of lived out, has brought about, a different way to navigate my relationships in my life, which has been a game changer, really. It's allowed me to have, to talk in different ways, to, just approach things in different ways than I had previously, which is, it makes a big difference. Yeah.
Picking up on this language of Jesus at the center, I'm so curious to know if anyone can speak to your imagination of Christ. In terms of really walking that out, how have you been able to reimagine or move toward Christ in a way that has been maybe refreshing or affirming in some sort of way?
Definitely one of the things that I feel a lot of how I reimagine Christ is a Christ that's so much more inclusive. I grew up in a reality where there were a lot of Christ doesn't like this. There's a lot of don'ts, hate, a lot of very strong words in church related to hate, and God hates this, Jesus hates this. And I've always been, in, I guess, definition, people are like, type A, you're keener. I've always wanted to do the right thing. And that came to church as well, but I felt like I could never, ever keep up with this thought of what Jesus wants from me, because I could never just relax and grow in my faith and ask questions. And the way that I reimagine Jesus now is there's so much grace. There's so much acceptance. I think there's such a feeling of so much more inclusivity and not excluding community, including community. I feel like that feeling of Christ has been a thrill for me, to be able to have those conversations and explore that letting go of the thought that I had for so long of who Jesus was, and my reimagination of who Jesus is to me now.
I hear you speaking of Jesus with a metaphor I think we don't take seriously enough, which is Jesus as friend.
Oh, yes.
When you're speaking about Jesus of your new imagination, I want to be friends with that guy.
100%.
Oh, wait, we are. We are.
I love hearing your perspective, and I think my journey and my imagination of Jesus, I think I came from a place of, I think when you seek certainty, when there's something new, a different idea, or something you maybe at the time don't agree with, you put up walls. That seems dangerous. But I think Jesus has changed me, and Commons has been there along that to not be afraid. In fact, those people, like I've developed the most deepest relationships with people who maybe at once didn't agree with, but now I think we're all the better for it. Yeah, to have and to be in relationship with people who have a different experience. And I'm thankful for those people who have stuck with me and taught me so much. Yeah.
I think belonging is a really important human need. And so it goes without saying that it's really important to Commons, finding acceptance and belonging. So can you tell us about a time when you felt like your true self at Commons?
I have been my truest self on some of the darkest services that we've held, because it has given me a chance to just show up without a smile on my face, with just authenticity, that I can express my worship and hold my pain at the same time. And that has been such a beautiful way to allow me to be exactly where I'm at with whatever tough stuff is going on, and not feel out of place and still belong, because we are allowing for that space and for that atmosphere and for that experience to happen. So I'm talking about darkest night of the year. I'm talking about Stations of the Cross. Like these they are huge for me as I move through a life that has not always the happiest of days. And I need that to be safe. I need to express that in a safe place. And Commons is giving me those opportunities. And then I can come back the next day and praise Jesus like nobody else.
I love that. The word that has been thrown around so many times, the word safe. I feel like all of us feel safety in a different way. You talk about that. It's beautiful how there's space for that kind of safety for you. There's space for my kind of safety as well, feeling accepted as who I am, what my family looks like. That is so important to me. And I think for me personally, I have felt like myself every single day that I've been here, but there's one moment specifically that I can think of that it was powerful. And this is probably bringing out the Kleenex for me, because this is very, very personal to me. For so many years, when I didn't have a church that I could call my home, where I couldn't go to church because I wasn't accepted, I would worship alone in my room. I would have my guitar and I would play alone because I had no other place to. And I remember joining the worship team, and the first Sunday I sang. I felt like my truest self, because I didn't have to hide. I didn't have to pretend like I was something else. I didn't have to put on a face. I didn't have to wear something different so that people wouldn't ask questions, and just everything. I can go on and on and on, but that moment I felt like my truest self. I felt so free to worship, because I always say that worship is my love language to God. It's just how it's deeply my love language, and I just remember being there and just feeling like this is what it feels like to feel like I'm free and I can be me in a place where I can feel safe, accepted. And I was like, this is where my healing begins. And I cried the whole way home. The whole way home. I'm driving, and it was like probably not the safest. I was like trying to but that day was by far the day that I felt like my truest, who's Rebecca, that was me in that moment. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Cannot imagine you not standing here. You're not standing here and doing what you do so well.
Thanks for bringing us together. That was awesome to hear the stories. This is like my It's powerful. It's powerful.